What's next for Lil Durk after life in prison? That's the million-dollar question shaking up hip-hop right now. And if you think this story is just about another rapper caught slipping, think again, because this is the kind of scandal that flips careers, destroys legacies, and turns fans into overnight prosecutors. Let's be real. How many times have we seen artists go live, talk slick for the internet, and then boom, the same words are replayed in court as if it were a Netflix documentary? But this isn't just bad press. This is the kind of headline that makes you wonder if Durk's entire empire is crumbling in real time. Are we witnessing the tragic fall of Chicago's golden child? Or is this the ultimate test of street loyalty versus federal pressure? Because one thing's for sure, when the feds have a 98% conviction rate, the math ain't mathing in Durk's favor. And yet, here he is, logging into Instagram Live, laughing at comments, throwing shade. Like his freedom is a meme. So what happens when the cameras shut off, the fans stop defending him, and the courtroom starts stacking evidence? Tonight we're diving into the ugly truth, because if you thought Lil Durk was untouchable, think again. When it comes to scandals in hip-hop, Lil Durk isn't just dipping his toes in, he's swimming laps in the deep end. For years, his name has been whispered in the shadows of Chicago's streets and shouted across courtroom steps. But this time the whispers aren't just rumors. This time the whispers are evidence, reports and viral clips that the feds are salivating over. You see, Durk's Instagram Live wasn't just a casual scroll through comments. It was practically a deposition with a built-in laugh track. Imagine facing the possibility of life in prison, yet going on live to argue about jewelry, shoutouts, and cheeseburgers. That's not just reckless, it's the kind of behavior prosecutors dream about. And the worst part? Every second of it is saved. Screen recorded, dissected frame by frame. It's no longer entertainment. It's Exhibit A, but the scandal doesn't start there. This is a man whose career has been haunted by tragedy and controversy since the beginning. Let's rewind. King Von, his closest ally, taken out in a violent altercation, became the spark that reignited Chicago's bloody rap wars. Prosecutors now say Durk's lyrics aren't just music, they're confessions set to a beat. Federal agents have linked bar after bar to real-life crimes, weaving together a narrative where every rhyme is a breadcrumb leading straight back to him. Think about that. Every line he spit, every diss, every flex could be weaponized in a courtroom where jurors already see him as guilty before he even opens his mouth. And yet, instead of playing it safe, instead of moving like someone under a microscope, Durk doubled down, surrounding himself with OTF members whose loyalty looks shakier by the day. Because here's the real bombshell: Durk isn't just fighting the feds, he's fighting his own circle. Allegations of snitching have begun to ripple through OTF, with whispers that protective custody requests and suspicious courtroom behavior are unraveling the so-called brotherhood. One co-defendant allegedly filed paperwork to keep himself safe, and suddenly the entire internet exploded with theories that Durk's inner circle is crumbling. You can almost hear the gavel hitting before the trial even begins. Fans who once screamed OTF forever are now debating whether loyalty is just another marketing scheme. And Durk, sitting in the eye of the storm, is trying to act unbothered. Instagram Lives, cryptic posts, veiled threats, it's all performance art at this point. But here's the kicker. When the feds are watching, performance art turns into self-incrimination real quick. The public reaction has been predictably divided. On one hand, you've got die-hard fans swearing that it's all a government setup, that Durk is the latest in a long line of black men being targeted by a system that thrives on high-profile convictions. On the other hand, you've got critics and bloggers gleefully pointing out that Durk practically built his own cage, brick by brick, with every song, lyric, and social media stunt. The streets love a survivor, but they also love a downfall. And right now, Lil Durk's story is teetering between empire and obituary. And just when you think the chaos couldn't get any worse, the leaks start rolling in: rumors of wire wearing, associates' secret recordings, Potential witnesses flipping faster than pancakes at IHOP. And that's where the scandal takes a darker turn, because if even half of these whispers are true, Durk isn't just facing legal trouble, he's facing betrayal from the very people he thought would ride or die with him back. Betrayal isn't just a theme in this story, it's the headline. The whispers about OTF members flipping on Durk aren't whispers anymore, they're practically shouts echoing across courtrooms and blogs. The rumor mill went into overdrive when reports surfaced that one of Durk's closest associates might have been caught wearing a wire, whispering into his jacket like an extra, in a low-budget crime drama. Prosecutors allegedly have footage, screen grabs, and anonymous leaks that point to Durk's own circle as the weak link in his defense. Think about how wild that is, the empire he built. The crew that shouted his name on stage could be the very reason he ends up behind bars for the rest of his life. And you know the feds love nothing more than watching loyalty collapse from the inside. It saves them the trouble of doing the heavy lifting. But of course, in true hip-hop fashion, none of this is playing out quietly. Social media has become the courtroom before the courtroom, with fans acting like self-appointed lawyers, analysts, and FBI profilers. Some are convinced Durk's case is airtight, and that every move he's made since Von's death has been one long paper trail for the prosecution. Others argue this is all smoke and mirrors, that Durk is the target of a calculated takedown designed to make an example out of him. Either way, the spectacle is working. Every time his name trends, every time his live clips resurface, every time someone says snitch, it fuels the narrative that his empire is cracking. And then there's the music. Federal prosecutors have been salivating over Durk's lyrics. And now they're armed with expert witnesses ready to testify that his songs aren't fiction, they're evidence. Every line about locations, revenge, and retaliation is suddenly being framed as a diary entry, a roadmap of crimes committed. Imagine sitting in a courtroom and hearing your own voice rapping back at you. Only this time the jury isn't nodding their heads, they're scribbling guilty in their notes. It's the kind of irony only the rap game can produce when success becomes the very rope tied around your neck. Public reactions have only added gasoline to this firestorm. Bloggers like to pretend they're uncovering exclusive leaks. But let's be real, half of what they're peddling is speculation dressed up as fact. Still, speculation has power. Headlines about snitching, leaked audio, and alleged hit. Plots spread faster than any official statement, and perception becomes reality long before the jury even takes their seats. Durk's fans are on defense mode, spamming comment sections with free him slogans. But the opposition is louder, claiming every leaked detail is proof he orchestrated revenge plots after Von's death. Even rival rappers have chimed in, some gleefully poking fun at his downfall while others play the street code card, hinting that betrayal was inevitable once the stakes got this high. And let's not ignore the irony. Durk once branded himself as untouchable, the leader who turned pain into platinum records. But now, the same empire looks like a house of cards, one that the feds are ready to blow on with the force of a hurricane. The story has stopped being about whether he's guilty or innocent. It's about how fast the walls are closing in. And if his own people are already whispering into microphones and filing for protective custody. Then the question isn't if anymore, it's when. Because here's the chilling part behind the rumors, behind the Instagram lives, behind the bravado. The fallout is already happening, and the consequences are about to hit harder than anything he's ever rapped about best. Once the fallout begins, there's no stopping it. Lil Durk's situation has escalated past the point of rumor. It's a full-blown legal disaster dressed up as entertainment. Prosecutors aren't just looking at his lyrics, they're dissecting his lifestyle, his inner circle, and even his late-night Instagram ramblings. Every flex, every chain, every private jet ride has been recast as evidence of ill-gotten gains, with anonymous sources close to the case leaking stories about suspicious cash flow and backroom deals. According to one so-called insider, federal agents are preparing to present financial records that paint Durk as less of a rap mogul and more of a kingpin laundering his way through the charts. Whether true or not, it doesn't even matter anymore though. Image alone is enough to sway jurors who've been primed to see him as guilty. And the consequences are stacking like dominoes. There are whispers of plea deals being floated, co-defendants trying to cut bargains, and prosecutors dangling decades of freedom in exchange for a few incriminating sentences about Durk. If even one member of OTF cracks, the entire case could collapse on him like a poorly built stage. The irony is brutal. Durk spent his career building an empire around loyalty, only to watch loyalty become the knife at his throat. Court documents now read like diss tracks in reverse, with every bar twisted into an accusation and every associate's name turned into a potential witness list. It's not just a trial, it's a slow-motion demolition of everything he built. Meanwhile, the public is eating it up. Headlines scream about snitching scandals. Podcasts debate whether Durk is the next high-profile rapper to fall, and rival camps quietly celebrate the chaos. Social media has turned into a war zone of memes, think pieces, and conspiracy theories, with everyone convinced they've cracked the case before the jury ever deliberates. And this is where the fallout gets especially dangerous, because in the age of viral narratives, perception has already become punishment. Durk doesn't just face prison. He faces cultural exile, a permanent stain on his legacy, and the possibility that his empire will be remembered not for its success, but for its implosion. And what about his family, his children, the life he once flaunted as proof that he made it out of the trenches? That, too, becomes ammunition. Prosecutors point to them as the stakes, the reason he should have walked away from the streets, but didn't. Critics use them as symbols of hypocrisy, asking how a man with so much to lose could gamble it all on street loyalty and revenge. Fans, they're left torn between defending their idol and acknowledging the possibility that the system has finally caught up with him. So what's next for Lil Durk after life in prison? Will he become a cautionary tale? The latest rapper immortalized not through music, but through mugshots and court transcripts? Or will he find a way to flip the narrative, to turn betrayal and federal pressure into the greatest comeback story hip-hop has ever seen? One thing's for sure, the fallout has only just begun. And the consequences are about to write the next chapter of his career, whether he likes it or not. So, what do y'all think? Is this the final curtain call for Lil Durk, or just another twisted plot in the rap game's endless soap opera? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because trust me, this story is far from over. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell, because the next chapter is going to make this look like the open